What if I told you that there was an operator in Arknights that could become invincible, not for 15 seconds like some angry nun, but for double the amount of time? What if I told you that this same operator also makes 4 other operators 100% invincible? What if you found out that this skill not only lasts twice as long, but charges up twice as fast? And what if I told you that this operator is hardly ever used? Today we're gonna look at who this operator is and why they are a scam.
私を呼び起こしてくださったのはあなたですね。あなたは一体何者なのですか？教えてください。
Hey, it's Che from Team WNJ here. We're making more Arknights videos because you guys love it, so let's try to get this video up to 500 likes, and you can help us accomplish this goal by sharing the video around. The operator we're going to be talking about today is the first ever 5-star that I've ever gotten through headhunting. She is a defender from Penguin Logistics, and her name is Croissant. Statistically, comparing her to Quora and Hoshiguma, you'll find that she sits somewhere around the middle. She generally has more defense than Quora. Sometimes she matches the defense of Hoshiguma, but they're all around the same level. What Hoshiguma does better than Croissant and Quora is the attack. Croissant's attack is only slightly better than Quora's, so there's nothing really special here. But it's when you take a look at Croissant's skills is where you realize where she is absolutely broken. Now take a guess. Which skill do you think we're going to be focusing on today? Is it skill 1, the generic defense buff with a little talent increase? Or is it skill 2, which gives her the ability to shift multiple enemies in multiple directions at max force? There are only 2 operators in the game who can shift at max force, and that's FEater and Croissant. Well, if you guess skill 2, you're wrong. Skill 2 actually is not that great. Shifting multiple enemies is a great thing. The 360% attack buff at skill 7 is massive. However, her base stat is not that high, so it's not gonna be some crazy number anyway. You also get a 3.5 second stun if you don't knock them into a hole, which is longer than Texas's stun at M1 to M3. However, it's that multi-directional thing that is a double-edged sword. I remember when I was first starting out, I was playing GT-6. This is the granny event where we're fighting Big Bob. I had Croissant in this position and she was being swarmed on by dogs. At some point, one of the dogs passed her and she could only block the dog after the dog had ran past. At this point, I decided, let me smash him away. And what ended up happening is the most pro gamer move you've ever seen. Because Croissant can push in all 4 directions and this dog was on the other side of Croissant, the dog got shifted in this direction. Because the dog has a weight of 1, and at that time my Croissant was on skill 7, so she could push at weight 2, the dog got sent flying all the way into Silver Ash and got blocked by Silver Ash on the other side. I was safe, but you could imagine how easily that could mess you up. The second downside about this skill is that it charges from her being hit. Now there's really 2 problems associated with this. Number 1 is that I play the game with the philosophy of kill them before they kill you. I want to kill every single enemy as fast as I can so they don't linger and pose a threat to the rest of my team. If Croissant charges up from being hit, that means I have to let the enemy hit Croissant and not kill them. This could be a problem because if more than 3 enemies are charging at Croissant and you can't kill them because you want to be able to shift them back, or if there's more than 3 of them and you're not killing any of them, they're just gonna leak right past Croissant. Number 2 is when you're dealing with super strong enemies. If the enemy has the ability to one-shot you, you're never gonna be able to charge that skill and use it because you'd be dead. Don't get me wrong though, this skill is not useless. I've actually used Croissant's shift skill on one of the Hell mode maps on Chapter 5. I also used this ability on Annihilation 3 to great success. However, most of the time, you would prefer an actual shifter over Croissant. Now, let's take a look at the actual star of the show, Skill 1. So it looks super generic here. Defense plus 40%, talent activation increases to 170%. What's broken here is her talent. What is her talent? Let's find out. Croissant's talent is called Miracle Field. It has a 10% chance to resist physical and arts damage. Furthermore, the allies in the 4 surrounding grids obtain half the effect. Now keep in mind I am on Elite 1, once you get to Elite 2, the 10% becomes 20%. Meaning, passively, she has a 20% chance to dodge all attacks, meaning she has a 20% chance to become invincible, and the 4 allies next to her have a 10% chance of becoming invincible. For passive, that's okay, because that's very heavily RNG based. But if you recall back to the skill and read this carefully, defense plus 40%, talent effect increases to 170%. Meaning, her talent upon skill activation now has a 170% chance to resist physical and arts damage. But you know what's even crazier? My Croissant is at skill 7. What happens if you Mastery 3 this skill? Well, let's find out. Croissant skill 1 at Mastery 3 gives her a defense buff of 70%. Who cares? Talent effect increased to 200%. This means that she has a 200% chance to become invincible, meaning nothing can kill her, and the allies in the 4 surrounding grids have 100% of becoming invincible, meaning nothing can kill them. Croissant and 4 other allies have become 100% invincible for 30 seconds at an SP cost of 20. For reference, Spectre's skill 2 on M3 allows herself and only herself to become invincible for 15 seconds at a 40 SP cost. Furthermore, she stuns herself for 10 seconds after the skill ends. Keep in mind the 20 SP cost charges per second, and 20 SP is extremely short for 30 seconds of uptime. There is more uptime than there is downtime using this skill. So why then do so few people use Croissant? Well, because unfortunately, this right here is a lie. The talent effect does not increase to 170%. It does not. If the talent does increase above 100%, it should mean that she should be invulnerable to every single attack. However, that is not the case. So what's actually going on here? Well, I haven't done enough testing to tell you for sure, but I can offer you a guess, which should sound reasonable enough for you to agree with me. I think what's really going on here is that the talent effect is not increasing to 170%. I think it's increasing by 170%. Well, what does that mean, Chafe? Doesn't that mean you take 20% and increase it by 170%? Won't you get 190%? Well, not necessarily. Percentages are a bit funny. Let's say that there's a room of 100 people and one person in this room plays Arknights. You would then say 1% of people in this room plays Arknights. Let's say the next day, another person in that group of 100 people starts playing Arknights. So now you have 2 people in the group of 100 playing Arknights. Now you can say there are 2% of people playing Arknights. You could say that there has been a 1% increase of people playing Arknights over the past day. That would not be wrong. You could also say that there has been a 100% increase in people playing Arknights over the past day. That would also not be wrong, because 1 increase by 100% is double. So what's going on here is you're not taking the 20% and adding the 170% to it. You're taking the 20% and increasing the 20% by 170%. So the real percentage dodge chance here is 34%, which is a mile away from 170%. Even at M3, where you have a 200% dodge chance increase, in reality you only have 40%, which is still less than half. That is not so great. Now the question becomes, is this a typo in the text, or is this a bug where Croissant is not functioning properly? Well, I think for any logical person, we would assume that this is just a typo, right? Well, when I reached out to YoStar's customer service about this supposed typo, their response changed my mind a little bit. This is what I wrote in my email. Hi, first of all, I wanted to say that you guys are doing a great job and I love Arknights. I'm writing to report a bug in Operator Croissant's Skill 1 description, as explained in the original email. Here's the transcript. Operator Croissant on Arknights EN has a serious typo on Skill 1 or is bugged. Croissant's Skill 1 is set to increase the talent activation chance to 110%. This means that her talent should activate 110% of the time, but it does not. It seems that the description should say increases the talent activation chance by 110%, not to 110%. Either that, or Croissant herself is bugged and she is supposed to dodge 110% of attacks. There is a big difference, as one implies that the operator becomes invincible, and the other implies that she has a chance to become invincible. This directly affects the way the operator is played, and will easily confuse players wondering why Croissant is still taking damage when she can dodge 110% of attacks. Would love to see this fixed. Thank you, and stay safe. The response that I got back from YoStar is either just a generic reply or an actual reply. I don't know which one it is. They said, "Dear Doctor, thank you again for your work and your valuable feedback. We have reported it to our developers, but it may take some time for them to check again and decide when and if it will be fixed soon. Sorry for any inconvenience. Now, I think any logical developer looking at a typo like this, it would not be too hard for them to find this line of code here, hit backspace 2 times and change the to by. If it takes time for them to decide whether to change this or not, does that mean we have a chance that this might not actually be a typo? Does that mean that we potentially have another game-breaking operator, a really fantastic game-breaking operator in our hands? I don't think it's gonna happen because that just seems a bit broken. Oh, by the way, it is still a bit balanced because it's automatically activated, so you can't manually choose when to become invincible. Like, it's hard to time. And that's like the one con of the skill. Hey, I would like for this typo not to be fixed. I would actually, in fact, really enjoy it if my defender was able to become invincible for such a long time. It would indeed greatly help for the upcoming event. Hey, did you guys know that we have a Discord server? And if you join right now, we can give you personalized tips for your Arknights team. Links in the description, I'll see you there. Anyway, make sure you share this video around, then subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notifications for all of our Arknights videos. Cheers!